Sheldon. I'm the Director of New Business Capabilities at Renu Energy Solutions. Actually celebrating my 6th-year anniversary this week, which is very
Congratulations.
exciting. But I did start in the solar industry in 2007, so I've been a long timer in this space. And over the years, I've seen the evolution of our industry and how it grows. And Renu Energy Solutions is based in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're a full-service residential and commercial solar installer. We install solar panels, batteries, and car chargers. And we cover North and South Carolina and some other states in the Southeast as well. And we've been in business for 15 years. So over this course of time, we've really had more and more of a need for understanding our customer type, understanding what's working, and really trying to execute more than what their expectations would be. So we have been in business now for quite a while. We've tried a few different softwares over time, and our current suite of Zoho is CRM, Zoho Projects, and Zoho Analytics. So we are very happy with where things are at right now, and we continue to evolve and grow. But the end result is all for the customer. It's all about the customer in our eyes, and we want to make sure that we're able to exceed those expectations from the time they sign a contract through to the time of installation and activation. And then even beyond there, we have a full service business as well. And so all this data that we gather, we turn it into insights, and it helps us deliver a 5-star performance for the customer.
Excellent. And before we move forward, can you tell me a little bit about your job? Just what are your day-to-day responsibilities, and what do you do at Renew?
Sure. Yeah. So over time, I've held about 6 different positions here at the company. So I started in sales and marketing, and then went into business intelligence and a lot of data visualizations and reporting. I've set up our software stack and configured a lot of the different types of endpoints. Been able to grow and develop people in our departments, whether it's sales, marketing, business intelligence, and currently I'm more of a sort of a partner liaison, if you will. I speak with software vendors, I speak with our manufacturing partners, lead vendors, also with customers, and just really help lay out some strategies and then tie things back to our internal team so that people understand what our end goals are and how do we want to work together to achieve those goals. So my day-to-day is somewhat dynamic, but more or less in the spirit of scaling our business effectively and profitably. And a lot of that is leaning into software and leaning on partners who are really strong in the space, great reputations, really about their business. And so that's more or less it in a nutshell nowadays. And it's been quite the journey, to say the least.
Interesting, having come from sales and marketing and moving more into the tech side. And
Yes.
I'm curious how your job is actually, I guess, defined. Do you consider it to be an IT job or a tech job or an operations job or a strategy job? Because it sounds like you're, kind of doing bits of all these things.
Yeah, I have. They sometimes call me a Swiss Army knife or a jack of all trades. But I'm more or less aligned to business development nowadays. When there was a heavy need for a lot of our analytics to be set up, a lot of our software suite to be determined which one we're going to use, and then configure all of that, I was leaning into that pretty heavily. And that was a lot during the time of remote, sort of in the COVID era, if you will, where we couldn't see each other face to face. We used to do a lot of binders and papers and handing stuff to each other. That wasn't an option. So we've never shut down, even through that period. We were considered essential business. So, I kind of, as out of a need, was able to sort of find solutions to work remotely and still cohesively as a team. So yes, it's leaned into some of those needs as they came up, but more or less now it's also a sort of business development, because we do have a pretty well-run machine, I must say, by most standards in this industry. It is construction at the end of the day. We are a full-service general contractor and electrician, so we do both of those in-house with our own tech teams. And it is surprising to a lot of people to see how much software we use and how we leverage data for insights. Considering we're just a construction company who turns wrenches and screws. I mean, not to be understated, but we want to make sure we're turning it in a profitable manner. So that's what
Sure.
we lean on the data for. Yeah.
Yeah, we've all dealt with projects in construction. Maybe it's as simple as doing a deck, or for our own houses or whatever. But you always want those projects to work
Yes, yes,
repeatedly over and over and over again.
correct,
And
correct.
just as an aside for the audience, I think it's great if you are in analytics to be aligned with a department like business development or sales, people bringing in the actual money. That's a great department to be in.
Correct. You need it. You need it. You want to start at the very front all the way downstream, right? So that's really what we've been able to configure now, and use Zoho, and how malleable it is for us to configure everything for our specific use cases, which does change over time. And we've been able to work with them, and really find a sort of a sweet spot, if you will, that's helping us really accelerate this turnaround time from signing a contract to installing. That's always like a race against the clock, because there's so many variables, so many steps, and a lot of it is out of our control when it comes to, like, permit offices, utilities giving approvals, HOAs giving approvals. Some of those stages are out of our control at their time frame. So anything that's within our control, though, we want to make sure we're executing in an expedited fashion, and at a quality level as well, without sacrificing that for the speed. So it is a balance for sure, and we're doing quite well with that.
Excellent. And just to dig into that, as I would call it a real company. You deal with actual physical materials, doing very practical projects.
Yep.
You're not a company just creating some weird AI nonsense or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Great
Not at
companies
all.
doing that as well. But as a real company doing real stuff, how do you use Zoho Analytics?
Yeah, it's tangible assets, right? These are investments people are making in equipment. So the solar panels, the inverters, all the way down to the racking, the wiring, the nuts and bolts. All of that needs to stand the test of time. They are warranted for 25 years, so it's quite a long-term product. And that means that over that lifetime, things need to be operational and up and running, so that they realize their investment, which is oftentimes through energy bill savings. That does come through other means as well, with like energy storage, where they have backup power in the event of an outage. They also extend the use of their solar energy from the daytime into the nighttime. So, these are investments people are making, and we use analytics in various fashions because it can be connected to various endpoints. We're pulling together the data that's in our CRM or inside of Zoho projects, and we're visualizing that into analytics in various forms, whether it's pivot tables or different types of charts, several different types of charts, and even geo mapping, where these installations are at, according to like latitude and longitude, as well as where leads come in and where those are kind of coming in. We can heat map these things to see where there's more activity or less activity, and that helps with our marketing. But it is even from the top of the funnel, from the various lead sources who are connected through either an API or a webhook into our CRM. That information gets put into the data tables of analytics, which then we can create these types of bar charts and pivot tables to more or less express like what's going on in our markets. And various users need that information, whether it's a partner who, we're doing monthly account reviews, and we're looking at how many leads came in from a certain area and how did those perform from a conversion standpoint, or if it's from like a manufacturer where we provide a forecast of how many certain of either panels or battery units that we anticipate selling and installing. We'll use that data, as well as sort of showing them, hey, here's what actually happened. Here was the forecast. Here's what actually happened. And then in turn, they can go back to their manufacturing team and say, hey, we need X amount of units for this coming quarter, or these number of units were actually installed and deployed. And so all that data is being used by different parties in different ways. And by segmenting all of that, we're able to help sort of create this full scope, full focus, and sort of step back as our own internal team and our leadership team and look at these dashboards that we've created and turned them into slideshows. And those go across TV screens in our office. They're also part of our like weekly and daily meetings, just different types of widgets, whether it's like a prorated widget that shows us here's where we forecasted to be by this time of the month. Here's where we actually are at this time of the month. We have conditional formatting to color format if we're ahead or behind, just so that it's really easy to digest the information and sort of point out where there's potential pitfalls. And all of that helps us then catch anything that's out of bounds and put focus on it, and then realize, okay, here's the bottleneck. What's the solution? How do we expedite this forward? And that's, just some of the use cases that we have with analytics. But it is a tremendous opportunity for us to showcase what we do in the real world, something that is construction and that then becomes more or less a sort of energy business. That is, you can see where we're putting these little power plants all around the Southeast, and it is a great exciting time for us here, and we're growing. We make Inc. 5000 3 years in a row. We've added 4 offices. We started with 1. We have more and more team members joining, and it's awesome to train them on analytics because it's super easy for them to get started and realize very quickly where we're at and what we got to do, and that's continuing to accelerate our growth.
Yeah, and congratulations. And just for a note for the audience, that being in the Inc. 5000 basically means you have to be growing year over year, usually a 3-year period or more, just to qualify. And Inc. magazine looks at the top 5,000 companies in the entire country that are growing fastest. So that's a tough list to make. And it usually means, roughly, it might be even faster than this, but you've got to double year over year, basically, to make this list. So you've got to grow really fast to be there. And being there for multiple years means that you are growing doubling year over year. Like,
we
that's
are.
a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with. Thankfully, we're not with the papers and sticky notes anymore. Thankfully, we have scheduled reports that show up in our emails at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. And the data comes to us, and we can just at a glance, at our convenience, make sure that we're keeping up with the know. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So So I'm curious, you've already brought up a lot of use cases around lead generation, customer analytics, geographic analytics, project management, looking at some of these alternate use cases associated with energy and literally being the power plant on the roof
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that individual estate or
Yeah.
for the property.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Zoho Analytics has come out with a number of new capabilities over the
Yeah.
past few months. I know you've been lucky enough to be able to
Mhm.
try them out earlier than some of the other Zoho customers. And I'm
Yeah.
curious how you've been finding that experience.
I have a kind of a short hit list. I mean, they came out with over 60 features, so it's quite a long a sheet of impressive features to go and figure out how do we leverage these things. But just kind of my short list since we've been starting with it, the mobile application has been really useful for us. So I certainly enjoy not having to have my laptop with me to be able to start to interface with some of this. And it has been web-based before, so you could still go through like a Safari browser, but it is nice to have the mobile application where you get a little bit more of a computer feel on your mobile device.
Mhm.
Also, we have a couple new charts that we like. So I was mentioning earlier the geo map. Using that heat fashion, and what's nice is we have a refresh rate of about an hour right now with our analytics. So going and pulling in the new data from our CRM or from our projects. So without our team having to manually do anything, these maps are sort of populating with the most recent leads in their latitude and longitude or the most recent installations. And we're able to kind of see these heat spots. So those heat spots then tell us where there's more activity, where our marketing can then turn to and do things like a direct mail piece or a targeted display ad on their search browsers. And that way we're able to start to realize, kind of like little lights turning on, where we need to be effectively spending our money. And that helps us, continue to drive the profitability. So we're not just spending money haphazardly, right? So those little extra insights and that more real-time lead tracking and installations gives us some better controls that we can use. So that chart is also really nice. The Zia suggestions, we've been using that. It's just got a little bit, I guess, smarter, a little bit more intelligent. and we can start to use it with our reports, and we can start to look at it when it comes to the email schedules with like, hey, here's sort of like the summary of what we're looking at, and it gives us some really high level things. So if we have different geographies, so we sometimes separate things by zones, and so we'll ask it, or it'll tell us like these are the markets that are actually seeing the highest number of sales or the highest particular order of a certain type of battery product. And it gives us a better understanding of our customer profile. So that way we're aware, we know how to continue to speak or to showcase at the house when we're speaking with the homeowner things of interest to them, you know. And solar is an interesting thing where you kind of want to keep up with the Joneses. It's sort of like you see it in your neighborhood more and people are curious about it. When we can see what other people are purchasing in their area, because it does vary by region, you know, we can start to show them like, here's what your neighbors are choosing. You know, this is the most common type of setup, which gives them a lot of confidence, gives them some peace of mind of feeling like they're not alone in that. So the analytics with the suggestions helps us sort of quickly profile what is it that the market is saying, you know, what is it that they're really taking to, and then how can we help our sales teams consult more effectively with the homeowners that they meet with. So that's been around, but it's only gotten smarter and it's helped us. The other one that is really nice is the data storytelling. So I'll just briefly touch on that. You know, this is a journey for homeowners. So, you know, where they start and the kind of like that I saw it on my neighbor's house on my way to work, down to like I'm actually getting 3 or 4 quotes, and I've talked with a lot of homeowners. I need to make a decision if this is right for me. When we comes to showcasing the Renu brand and you know, how it is that what sets us apart, we can use these data, and we do show them like we have very clear visibility into the project life cycle, you know, and they can see the 62 steps that there are to go from the time they say yes at the contract to the time it's installed. We can touch every single one of those things, so that it gives them peace of mind and confidence that they're going to be kept in the know and we're aware of things, and we can share these links with them. You know, because of analytics is you can make it a public link on these reports and dashboards. We can give the customer information at their fingertips the same way that we see it. So it's very transparent. It's nothing about hiding behind something or being unaware. We certainly are trying to bring that data to the homeowner to portray who we are, and also help explain to them the next steps, what's happening. Outside of just homeowners, the data storytelling allows us to speak with our partners, you know, so there's a lot of manufacturers who want to have us install their product, and we can show them, you know, why it is that they would want us to carry their product, and why it is that they should, you know, perhaps give us first right of decision, give us the first access to a certain type of panel or inverter or battery or racking or et cetera, because they know the quality of our workmanship, but also they know the level of care and attention to detail that we put behind things right up front. And so that gives them, again, peace of mind when it comes to working with a partner who's an installation firm like Renu. And when they have options out there of other installers, you know, we want to make sure that they understand our story and what sets us apart. And it really is this backbone of data ingestion and data insights to help drive decisions and do things effectively. So like forecasting correctly goes a very long way in the eyes of a lot of manufacturers and distributors, so that they know they're manufacturing the correct product at the right volumes, and things don't just sit in inventory on shelves. No, that's not what they want. So those are the few that I would touch on. There's a couple other more, but yeah, definitely excited about seeing what else these new features have included with them as well.
Great. And it sounds like you've gotten a lot of value, so especially from the mobile app, the data storytelling,
Oh yeah.
the SIA assistant, where that's been available kind of as a chat bot, but now seems to be providing a lot more actual analytic outputs to you.
Correct.
Yeah.
The other one I would just throw in there is the data buckets. I mean, we'll come back to profile, like data bucketing is just, these systems are so custom that we do. I mean, it's very specific to the house and the energy needs of that house. And we want to be able to sort of group things together. And we can do that with bucketing now, where we can quickly segment the types of installations that we're doing. and put them into a certain bucket. So for example, a system that's between 10 kilowatts and 15 kilowatts, how many homeowners do we have in that range? And of those systems, how many of them have a specific inverter type? And by bucketing them like that, we can then start to visualize in a specific region, okay, what's the most common themes? What is the most popular grouping that we see? Is it a 5 to 10 kilowatt size system? Is it a 10 to 15? And all that means is like now we may have the opportunity to go back to these homeowners and say, hey, perhaps you need an additional couple panels, right? So we get more long-term share wallet. And also may say like they're ready for a battery at this point. They've had this, so we can group it by year and say, okay, everybody between the time of 2010, which is our inception, through about 2020, that 10-year span, there really weren't a lot of viable battery options at that point, really only a few. So we can go back to those consumers and really introduce them to a battery solution that wasn't available at the time that they had originally purchased the solar. It was always something that they were waiting on, right? So by bucketing things in that way, we're being really efficient and effective with our time, and also being really deliberate with our messaging and letting them know, here's why we're reaching out to you, right? And the bucketing really helps us get into those weeds pretty quickly and start to quickly surface low-hanging fruit, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. And as you've been bringing in these new capabilities, did you feel like there was anything your organization had to do to prepare to use these new technologies? Obviously you got a lot of value, but it always takes a little work to get some of these things going as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's face it, we're construction. Construction isn't pretty. So it's not exactly like the people who appeal to construction come in with a big IT background.
Mm-hmm.
So it requires a little bit of user training, user adoption. And when these new features did first come out, we did have to have a learning curve. It required some additional training sessions. We used some hands-on training as well as some PowerPoint trainings. And honestly, we leverage a lot of the customer service over at Zoho.
Mm-hmm.
We always refer them, our users, to them if like it kind of gets past tier 1 and tier 2 level support, which we can do in-house. If it gets to the tier 3 level support, that might be a screen share to Zoho where they'll come onto the computer and basically control the mouse, which is really exciting to see because you're getting real-time results. And that's what everybody wants, is like, can you just do it for me, right? And they can remote access the computer. And that's been really helpful. And then also there's also things where we just have our own team sort of playing around in sandboxes and just saying, like, if I write this script and I write this code, will it execute the way that I anticipate it to? And sometimes that might be like an aggregate formula where you have to stack together several different conditions, or it might be a query and you have to kind of put together the query. We don't necessarily want to affect the published, actual software that we have deployed out in real time. The sandbox modes help us kind of figure out before we say yes and put this into production, let's test these things out ahead of time. And then that may take a month or two to honestly nail it down where we're saying, okay, this is how we want it. Because if you see our scripts, I mean, they are really, really long at this point because we're pulling in so much more information, which is further kind of refining and really making it a smarter tool to use. And so we just, over time kind of learn by trying things, but also sometimes we also lean on a lot of the Zoho partners. And we may reach out to a few Zoho partners we made over the years, and they've been the experts, subject matter experts in a lot of these different things, where we can then kind of tap them for some ideas, and sometimes we, kind of cross collaborating to work together on bringing something together. So, stuff like scripting is a big one. And we just see ourselves being able to connect more and more endpoints, which is giving us a better forest view, not just expanding the look in the horizon, is really, that's why we're still with Zoho after all this time, because they continue to allow us to stay within our lane, but also reach out to the horizon and see what things can be. So
great. So as we're finishing up, what recommendations do you have for other Zoho customers that are thinking about bringing in these new capabilities or changing the way they're using their Zoho Analytics?
Yeah, just get started. I mean, I would first say just get started because you don't know what you don't know. So getting in there and kind of seeing what can make sense to them is the first thing. We didn't necessarily know what to expect. We didn't know what it could become, but in our research and looking at other tools, we certainly considered Zoho Analytics and considered some of the applications that it may have. And over time, they've been able to bridge more gaps where we've been able to say, wow, we can connect to QuickBooks now. That's amazing. We can connect to Basecamp now. That's perfect. We can use that. There's other elements that analytics does that just visualize, reports and visualize the tables. It allows you to start to leverage the software stack they may already have and then source it into one spot, which is the source of truth. And that's what I think everybody wants is a source of truth where you can really look and tell this is our profit, this is our loss, this is a great EBITDA, right? These are the numbers that we can stand behind and showcase to any partner, or such as submitting to Inc. 5000, where it's like, these are refined numbers. This is not, made up. This is quantifiable evidence of how we've been able to perform. And, other people can see that success. It's just, you got to start somewhere. And if you're already using it, get back in there and keep exploring because there's new data connectors. If you go to data sources, you'll be able to open that up and you can see a whole list of new categories on there. And what you maybe looked for even just a year ago may not have shown, it might show there now. So, that's another reason to just continue to, work within the Zoho Analytics platform. Let them do the heavy lifting. I'm not quite sure how on the back end they're connecting all these things, but we love the plug and play ease of that because all of a sudden we're able to start interfacing with our information in a different way and able to share that and provide access to that information to more people and keeping things away from getting locked down and hidden where people need information and they otherwise couldn't get it. So it really is a very, very effective tool for us. And I think other people who are considering it or already using it are going to be happy once they start, working with it more and more. So.
Yeah, so that experimentation and that ability to work with those integrations, that ability and willingness to open up analytics to the rest of your employees. I think those are great recommendations and fantastic. It was a great conversation. I really appreciated hearing how you're using this. And frankly, I think it's something that a lot of companies struggle with. Like a lot of normal companies were like, we just do projects and, we build stuff. We don't know like how to use analytics, right?
Yeah, that's how we were. It was all columns and rows and locked behind. You had to click into the project. You had to then go to the tasks. You had to then get in the list of tasks. Well, having it in analytics, we're able to surface specific tasks across all projects, group things together, and be able to see how many we have in a specific type. Where are they at? What stage are they in? And it would just be it was like so eye-opening to just be able to sit back and see the count of certain projects at a certain stage, not just one big project dashboard with all these rows of project names where you have to click into each one to see, was that task open or closed?
Yeah.
Now we see that task across all these projects and analytics, and it's completely elevated and changed the way we interact with projects. We know projects is the input, but we all look at the output. We continue to train and coach the people on good inputs so that the data is good and reliable in the output. And so that's kind of where our team had an aha of, I'm not just clicking this box or clicking this pick list item. I'm doing it because it's going to show on this analytics dashboard and it's going to show this timestamp so that our team knows when they're ahead of schedule, and everybody can see that project and how people are working on it together. It's just been a monumental progression in our company when it used to just kind of be, paper binders handing a project over and there's no way of searching it other than thumbing through it.
Just hoping that it's happening. Yeah.
Exactly. No, now it's like a well-oiled machine, and people are staying on our teams longer. There's less attrition. They're happier. They feel like they are not overwhelmed, that they, you know, if they can just control their one section of this pipeline of project tasks, that, you know, we're doing a great job. And so it's really helped us stay laser focused. And really, I think the homeowners are the ones who are benefiting from that. The manufacturers are the ones who are benefiting from that. More of their projects are being sold, more of their products are moving. Distributors are happy because they're able to freight things around and purchase in bulk and actually know that the order is going to be executed on, not just placed, but actually taken and then deployed. So yeah, there's a lot of positive effects that analytics and Zoho as in general have brought to us and then to the people that we work with. So it's been great. I mean, no kidding, no fluff.
And with that, thank you so much, John, for your time today. I really appreciate your insights and your perspectives in working with Zoho Analytics.
Thank you.